Well, y'all can go ahead
Howdy
and start
folks,
out.
my name is TheRedditMario, and welcome to the MILFCast. I am currently being joined by Rolo and Will, who won't be here for long because he actually has to go get food at this time, at some point around this time. But
Yep.
as per usual, that will not stop us from providing you with a great show today. Today's topic focuses on the greedy, lazy company known as Electronic Arts and their controversial reputation amongst the fan base, particularly of like sports games and Star Wars and stuff.
And EA, it's up your ass. EA, wait, that's EA fucking hell, bro.
For those of you who are wondering where the hell the EA controversy came from, I guess it really came to fruition after like they dropped Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I don't remember exactly what was up with Battlefront, but I think it was like loaded with like stuff you had to purchase to like.
It was loaded with,
it
was in-game purchases, microtransactions, and also I think it was because there were some characters where like you could technically unlock it through gameplay, but it took so fucking long to unlock shit that it was just you were basically forced to buy it.
I'm pretty sure
I'm glad I finally have an outlet to complain about Plants vs. Zombies 2. It's been my dream ever since 2018 to complain about Plants vs. Zombies 2 on recording.
No, yeah, that's where it started.
Yes.
Not Battlefront. It was Plants vs. Zombies.
Yeah, so that's
They
really what
fucking ruined Plants vs. Zombies, and I will never forgive them.
Yeah, so that's generally what started, EA's whole controversy with the fans, especially after years of being known for actually good half decent titles such as like the Simpsons game and the Sims franchise.
Yeah, I mean, EA's entire business model is taking properties and making as much money as they can out of it before shutting it down.
Pretty much.
That's pretty much, I guess.
I don't know.
It's actually haven't talked about EA in a while, but I remember doing this for like Animaniacs a while back, so I'm gonna do the same for EA by looking at a Wikipedia article about the company. Criticism of Electronic Arts. The video game company had been at the center of controversies involving acquiring companies and anti-consumer practices in individual games. Consumerist actually labeled EA the worst company in America back in 2012 and 2013. It's actually surprising that following the Star Wars Battlefront controversy, it hasn't been labeled worst company in America again. Being named is actually, as a matter of fact, EA was named the 5th most hated company in the United States by USA Today in 2018. So, yeah, Battlefront 2 came out in 2017.
I mean, have they even released anything this year except for the mandatory sports games?
The sports games, you know how they release like the same fucking game every year, so it doesn't really count.
Yeah,
they release like the same every year, but it's slightly spruced up.
I feel like in general, like EA,
I remember seeing like a meme or like a review. It was like review of Madden 21. This is the same game as the last year, so we're just gonna copy paste a review from that one.
Oh, there's another review of congratulations EA, you earned 1 star. For each one, you pay $4.99 for more.
Pay $4.99 for those bitches. So hear me out. So the Plants vs. Zombies 2, they introduce a time travel gimmick that is a really cool concept for Plants vs. Zombies because there's so much you can do with that. There's so many new concepts for like plants and enemies and everything. But then they put so many fucking paywalls behind fucking everything. There's so many plants you just can't get. There's old plants that like you just can't. That you have to fucking buy with. You have to buy the fucking chomper, the fucking purple piranha plant. Even though that's like one of the worst plants from the last game, you still have to fucking buy it with real money. And then like they introduce like this upgrade system to your plants, which is fine, but then you have to pay in-game currency to upgrade them. It's just why? Why did you do this?
Alright, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm complaining about Plants vs Zombies.
Alright.
I mean, it's a fun game. Like even like at the very least.
But okay, so I actually enjoyed Plants vs Zombies 2 for a while, but then it got I got through the game pretty easy without having to put actual money into it. But then it just got so brutally fucking difficult. Where I was like, you can probably still get through it, but like there's like a heavy difficulty spike that's basically telling you, yeah, spend money. So like it's just that's a problem with a lot of these free to play games. They just get like suddenly really fucking difficult, so you're incentivized to spend money on it. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. In 2008, there was a lawsuit in Oakland, California, which actually alleged EA of breaking U.S. antitrust laws by signing exclusive contracts with the NFL Players Association and the NCAA to use players' names, likenesses, and team logos, keeping other companies from being able to sign similar agreements. The issue was, it actually further accused EA of raising the price of games that were associated with those licenses. As a result of the action, Peter Moore, in an interview with GameTap, said it was the NFL that sought the deal, wanting the exclusive relationship. EA bid for it. They actually argued the likenesses were incidentally used, but that was rejected by the Court of Appeals in 2015, and a further appeal to the Supreme Court was unsuccessful. In 2016, EA settled with Jim Brown for $600,000. But in 2013, they actually settled a series of wide-ranging class action lawsuits that are actually filed by former NCAA players that accused EA and others of unauthorized use of player likenesses in their football and basketball games.
Hey, we got your favorite marketable football player, Spire stuff.
That is indeed another one of EA's tactics, buying exclusive rights to make games for certain companies. They had the Star Wars one for years.
We have your favorite marketable funny shooter plants. Now buy it. Buy all the in-game currency. Buy the Cheeto fucking chomper plant in Plants vs Zombie Garden Warfare.
I haven't tried Garden Warfare.
Yeah. I haven't either. It looks fine. All I know is that they have like a fucking Cheeto skin for the chomper.
Yeah, I saw that much.
It's funny as fuck.
EA
and it's got like realistic teeth too. God.
Okay, so EA is also well known and thus despised for its continuous use of loot boxes, which had seemingly become the norm in EA games for like a while. For those of you who don't know, which I'm sure you do, a loot box is a type of microtransaction where players can use in-game rewards or real-world funds to gain a virtual box which is filled with in-game items, the effects of which may vary. An approach used when creating these loot boxes is to limit the system to only provide items that do not alter gameplay, such as visual customization options for characters. It gained popularity around 2017, and Electronic Arts started to include loot boxes or their own equivalents in their games, such as FIFA 18, Mass Effect Andromeda, and Star Wars Battlefront 2. The initial approach during Battlefront 2's open beta involved pay-to-win elements containing powerful characters that otherwise would require hours of play in order to acquire through in-game funds, in-game boosts, through loot boxes, and other effects. A lot of people actually complained about the pay-to-win aspect, which led EA to change what the loot boxes contain, assuring that the other items could be earned through in-game means. The change still allowed players that spent money to gain game-affecting elements at a faster rate than trying to earn them in-game, but this only led to further criticism. As a matter of fact, just prior to the game actually coming out in November 2017, Disney warned EA to disable the loot boxes until they could devise a non-pay-to-win system, featuring the system, as they feared that the system could be seen as encouraging players into gambling, especially children who were very much into the Star Wars franchise, which...
Kind of, EA, everybody gets pissed at EA for doing loot boxes, but when you're a random scrunkly fucking gotcha game, Battle Cats, Genshin Impact does it, nobody fucking bats an eye. They just go, that's probably fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
many will probably turn a blind eye for like gacha games and stuff like that when they. I feel like it's basic.
What's that gambling?
They kind of work like. Wait. How do I say this? It's
They're both gambling, but let me tell you, as a person who did not want, as a person who used to play Battle Cats, and a person who refused to spend money on that game, all I fucking did was watch ads for in-game currency.
You're still like, either way, you're still churning out currency just to get something you actually want, and when you don't get what you want, then of course you won't end up liking it. So
it pissed me like Game Freak and like a fucking EA for doing it, but then when the random fucking Genshin Impact and fucking Battle Cats do it, nobody gives a shit.
And actually,
it's mobile games. Everyone knows they're crap.
Actually, people were so angry about the pay-to-win system in Battlefront 2 that EA's statement on Reddit saying that the intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes actually remains the most downvoted comment on Reddit to this day. Sheesh.
It's like, hey, that's literally just, hey, you gain a sense of accomplishment from wasting your money.
The score is actually fucking terrible. The EA account has a current score of negative 667,710, meaning that's about 667,710 downvotes. That still holds the record. As a matter of fact, just below that, in r/Thanos Did Nothing Wrong, only has 88,906 downvotes. So it's still people still have a long way to go to beating EA's record. But the fact that EA has that record because of the loot boxes says a lot about their shitty practices.
People who can gain a sense of accomplishment.
Here's a direct response.
It remains a punchline to this day.
Here's a direct response from u/Bookem_Dano. That's rich. Just be honest. The truth is, very few people are going to sink a full work week into this game, and you're hoping that somebody is desperate enough to buy credits to unlock the character. It has nothing to do with providing a sense of pride and accomplishment. This is a flat-out lie, and you know it. How naive do you think your player base is?
I mean, a lot of companies seem to think their player base are idiots.
That sounds like a copy and paste response made by a fucking bot. There's a company's like, we don't have the time to actually write a response. Just let our robot do it. Or it sounds fake.
Yep.
Literally.
That was a thing. A day after the post was made, a Twitter user who actually claimed to be a developer at EA had reportedly received over 1,600 death threats due to Battlefront 2, with the story being picked up by CNBC.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
The user's story was called into question after Jason Schreier, lead writer at Kotaku, reached out to Big Sean66, the user who made the claims. After he sent multiple messages and received no response from the user, Big Sean66 locked their Twitter account and removed any reference to being a developer from their Twitter bio. EA would unfortunately reactivate the loot box system, however, they would do it without any pay-to-win elements by March 2018. But the negative attention the game had received as a result severely impacted EA's financials. Blake Jorgensen stated that they actually missed Battlefront 2's targeted sales by 10% as a result of the controversy, and they had missed their financial targets for the fiscal quarter after the release date due to the loot box system being offline for several months, which is honestly If you're really trying to make that much money just from loot boxes, then you're absolutely pathetic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but it's smart. It works. Have you seen fucking those damn games? It's like fucking. It works, but it's shitty, but it works.
And that's a shame. Like
It's just EA has a lot of
it shouldn't work.
EA
That's
has
the
like a
problem.
lot of controversy around them now, so it doesn't work as well. But in very specific circumstances, loot boxes roll in the dough because people are fucking dumb.
Battlefront 2 was not the only game criticized for this loot box system. However, the attention it drew led many governments to evaluate the nature of loot box systems as potential gambling mechanisms. That's right. People actually started to assume that the loot box systems would possibly lead to gambling, especially in terms of children who would be playing games like this, knowing they'd have to spend money to unlock characters that they'd probably want to play as. Attention was
Pulling battle packs and opening the loot box and go, I want a PNG of a woman. Give me the PNG of the woman now. Give me it.
NFTs
No,
in a
yeah.
nutshell, something like that. Like
Give me the fucking PNG of the anime woman. Do it. And then you got a common surfing cat and go, damn it.
Nah,
Wow.
at the current moment, that's Ubisoft, not EA.
Oh yeah, I don't fucking care about these game companies. I just like funny video games.
attention was later drawn to EA's FIFA games and the Ultimate Team mode. Belgium and the Netherlands, they had issued rulings that the loot boxes might be considered unregulated gambling, and they would instruct developers and publishers of games that they found out of compliance to take corrective actions. In Belgium, EA contested the ruling, asserting that the FIFA system was not in violation of gambling regulations. This will come back to bite them in the ass because by January 2019, EA would disable the ability for Belgian players to purchase loot boxes in FIFA games in order to bring the game into compliance. In the UK, they would end up defending the use of loot boxes, comparing them to surprise mechanics, much like collectible toys found in Kinder Surprise eggs, which would be criticized by the gaming press as downplaying the loot box issue. At least with like the surprise eggs, like like you actually have something physical and not like some digital you end up forgetting about in a week that you could otherwise obtain through hard work. So,
Full of chocolate, that's all you need.
yep.
Yo, chocolate. Jesus,
it's chocolate.
all right.
Now let's
Hop
talk
on
about the
legends.
treatment of EA's employees. It's not uncommon in the video game industry. Keep in mind, I'm still reading off the Wikipedia article.
Not uncommon to treat your employees like shit in the company industry.
It's not uncommon for publishers and developers to have their employees work extra hours near the last few weeks or months of the development cycle to make sure that a game is released on time. But however, this would often be unpaid. Such workers were classified as exempt from overtime pay, commonly known as something called crunch time. In 2004, the company was criticized for having their employees work extraordinary long hours, sometimes up to 100 hours per week as a routine practice, rather than during the crunch time period. This goes over the standard 40 hours a week method that a lot of us people are used to, like 9 to 5. Here they are having to work up to 100 hours per week routinely.
Like, fuck you. We need a new Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare out now. Not next month. Now you have to get it done, or we're not paying you.
Aaron Hoffman was the fiance of an EA employee. He actually posted an EA spouse blog anonymously as a disgruntled spouse in 2004, describing some of the work time demands EA had made of her fiance, such as the fact that at the time the mandatory hours were 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days
Jesus
a week,
Christ.
with the occasional Saturday evening off at 6:30 for good behavior.
Good
Yikes.
behavior.
That is 13 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah,
Need a
from,
union.
from
For work.
9 to 5 I
You-
can understand, but 9 to 10? Really? 9
9
a.m.
to
to 10
10.
p.m. That is definitely unreasonable, in my honest opinion.
Get fucked. Jesus.
I
It's like,
understand
it's
wanting to
not
get
even saying,
I understand wanting to get a game out on time,
you're gonna
but
make me,
goddamn, if they can't get it done on time, just push it back. Like I don't like.
if you're gonna make me
Just
work
delay
this
it. Then
much
again,
out,
then
if
again,
you're
we got
gonna
lose money if we delay. The microtransactions won't help.
Like
With
if you're
stupid
gonna make
timelines.
if you're gonna make me work this much, you
Yeah.
might as well just make me sweep at the fucking office.
it's okay to push back a game for any reason that you deem necessary, especially if
No,
like your
we
team
can't do
can't
that.
get
We
it
need to
done
get
on
it out
time.
now.
Like
We need to get out Battlefield 556 out now. We can't get it out tomorrow. You need the fucking work now. You bitch.
That is basically what life would probably be like at the EA building, folks. Not every company, they pressure for a game to be out immediately. Like, for example, a few days ago, Nintendo made the decision to delay the Advance Wars reboot thing for the Switch as a result of the war in Ukraine and Advance Wars
That's
being
fair.
and Advance Wars having areas similar to that of Russia/the USSR.
I heard the plot of that game is like very, very like way too similar to like what's going on with the situation going on with Russia and Ukraine right now. So that's fair to push the game back till then. Yeah, that's completely
My issue
understandable.
though is that depending on what happens, they might have to straight up cancel that game altogether. That's my concern. Like
Oh god, that might be awful. Yeah, that fucking sucks.
the big concern on my mind is that if when or if this turns into a full on nuclear conflict, and they realize, yeah, nobody's gonna have a fun time playing Advance Wars, given the fact that people might actually be nuked in the future. So,
Yeah.
as a matter of fact,
Yeah,
on the
boy.
topic of Advance Wars, this isn't the first time that there's been direct correlations to the series itself and actual conflicts in world history. As a matter of fact, the original Advance Wars for the Game Boy Advance released in North America on September 10th, 2001. The reason this is a problem is that was actually a day before the 9/11 attacks happened. So, I believe that led to the game being delayed internationally as a result because of the poor timing.
No,
Yeah.
maybe that game series is cursed. Let's be honest.
What game series Advance Wars?
Yeah, Advance Wars is just a cursed game series.
It sucks because I heard they're really good. It's like Fire Emblem, but war.
Yeah. Advance Wars has not had a lot of good luck.
What the fuck?
Back to the topic of EA. Let's see here.
Fuck, man.
The blog from the disgruntled spouse we were mentioning earlier that actually went viral and brought awareness to this crunch culture to the forefront of the video game industry. This led to 2 class action lawsuits being filed against EA by their employees. The first was filed in 2004 by video game artists who were looking to be compensated for unpaid overtime. They settled with the class for $15.6 million by 2006. In addition to those settlement funds, EA will reclassify several of low-level developers into hourly rate schedules to qualify for overtime in the future, for foregoing company stock options. A second lawsuit was brought up against EA by programmers, similarly settled in 2006, this time for $14.9 million. Hoffman's blog led to a trend across the industry to address the crunch time matter, but it still remains a significant industry issue. Since the criticisms first came to light, it's been reported that EA had allegedly taken steps to address balance concerns in the work life by focusing on long-term planning, compensation, and communication with employees. The accelerator.
EA, if you employees work on your shitty games for 24 hours a day, you kind of need to like fix that.
You need a union.
They're choking time. They're just working overtime. They're just working their life away just for the games to get super hated by the entire.
I know you need your employees to develop the new plant for the Plants vs Zombies 2 update, but like people need to kind of live and eat and sleep and breathe. and have hobbies. They're not.
When a new CEO came to EA in February 2007, it seemed as though there was progress being made. In December of that year, an internal survey showed a 13% increase in employee morale and a 21% increase in perception and management recognition over a 3-year period. In May 2008, Hoffman claimed that despite EA making significant progress, they might be falling in old patterns. She said that EA is tremendously reformed, making some strong efforts to get the people into their human resource department, and that she's been hearing it from people who have gotten overtime pay there. That makes a great deal of a difference. And that she actually recommended to a few people how to apply for jobs in EA, but she said to have heard horror stories once again. The article doesn't quite explain the self-alleged horror stories. The crunch culture had been mentioned in association with other games, having said to contribute towards the poor quality of games, which we'll actually touch on in a bit. Such titles include Superman Returns from 2006, suffering from culture changes as EA reacted to the lawsuits, and the 2019 game Anthem. So EA still hasn't been having.
What the fuck is an Anthem?
Apparently it's an online multiplayer role-playing game developed by BioWare and published by EA, released in February 2019. I actually received mixed
literally
reviews
just when that existed.
Yeah, because the game actually failed to meet commercial expectations, despite BioWare announcing that they'd be reinventing the core gameplay in February 2020. Future development would be ceased in February 2021, making Anthem a really, really unpopular game.
Yeah.
And then they replaced it with Battlefield 2042, and that happened again. Seems to be happening again.
Yeah, I heard Battlefield 2042 was really bad or something. I don't know. I don't play shooters.
Yep. On the topic of game quality, this is kind of outdated though. Hasn't been updated since June 2021, however. But it's still sort of relevant. The review performance had shown an actual downward trend in quality over recent years, and that was expected to have affected market shares during competitive seasons. Poor reviews and quality are beginning to tarnish the EA brand, according to Evan Wilson of the Pacific Crest Securities back then. Electronic Arts game quality continues to fall, although market share had not declined dramatically. In years such as 2007, it seemed likely if quality didn't improve. This has become increasingly popular with how EA has been treating their sports titles as of late. A lot of people claim to notice a pattern of EA straight up basically releasing the same game every year, just with some updated graphics, an updated roster, I guess, an updated overface. But aside from that, like you're looking at basically the same gameplay. Actually, sometimes people might say it's like just about the same everything. Like there's actually very little difference from the current game to the last year's game, other than like the change of the title and some minor changes in like the overall look and feel. This actually got so bad back in the day. They had received criticism for developing games that lacked innovation, especially with the number of gaming titles produced under the EA brand. And it even says particularly in their EA sports franchises. That really says a lot about how poorly EA sports games have really felt.
They have 15 million sports games, 4 Plants vs. Zombies. These games, 3 of them being shooters. A bunch of shooters, a bunch of like IPs they just randomly buy the rights to and then immediately drop. Do you think EA is that creative and innovative with their games?
Yeah, EA is definitely not creative. It's not just. Oh, have we dragged on about microtransactions yet? We've talked about.
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's been a bore.
Loot boxes, which are inherently tied to microtransactions.
Yeah, we already talked about loot boxes.
We talked about loot boxes and
child form of gambling.
All gamers must spend their wallet to see the PNG of an anime woman. That's just how society works.
Back to the
I'm
topic
guilty of
about
this as
game.
well.
Back to the topic about game coffee. The issue with EA's declining
Right.
quality got so bad that the company's CEO acknowledged this lack of innovation, saying, and I quote, "We're boring people to death and making games that are harder and harder to play. For the most part, the industry has been rinse and repeat. There's been lots of products that look like last year's product that look a lot like the year before, which to this day is still, holds up." It's really a problem when, even despite the fact that the own CEO acknowledges the fact that games are looking the same as before,
Hey, we're acknowledging the
EA
fact that
still
we're
continues
making the
to do
same
that.
fucking games. Are we gonna do anything about it? Of course not.
Don't do anything about it.
This actually led
Acknowledge-
to this actually is what led to EA turning its attention to creating new game IPs in order to really stop this from happening. I think it's something. I remember something. I was gonna bring up something. What the fuck? Shit.
You're about to bring it up, but I
imagine.
bring up Unraveled. That game I did.
Yeah. So, as I said, it's common. It's still common in like the sports games. I've heard people saying that EA might sometimes make actual decent games, but it's hard to really determine. Like at this point, especially since I haven't played games like the Need for Speed games or like UFC titles.
EA games are either like decent, like mediocre, or just like really dog shit. Like it doesn't really. They're either like okay or dog shit most of the time.
There's very minimal in between. There's very minimal above that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. You could.
The Plants vs. Zombies shooters are fine. They're just not really for me. They're not really why I like this series in the first place, but they're fine. They're probably decent.
Yeah. So basically, EA has been very hit or miss with their products. In 2012, however, their games were actually ranked highest of all large publishers in the industry by Metacritic. Let's go to.
What did they release in 2012? A fucking FIFA 13.
Let's go to their rating as the worst company in America.
FIFA 13 Game of the Year.
The worst, really?
Yes. In April 2012, Consumerist awarded EA with the title of Worst Company in America, along with a ceremonial, and I quote, Golden Poo Trophy. There's actually a whole article about this from Consumerist. I'll actually read an excerpt from that now. Let's see. I should know. After more than 250,000 upvotes, Consumerist readers ultimately decided that the type of greed exhibited by EA, which is supposed to be making the world a more fun place, is worse than Bank of America's avarice, which some would argue is the entire point of operating a bank. To those who might sneer at something as non-essential as a video game company winning the worst company in America vote, it's that exact kind of attitude that allows people to ignore the complaints as companies like EA to nickel and dime consumers to death. Traditionally, the poo had been delivered on its little red pillow, but this year we'll give EA 3 different color options for its pillow. I almost said period. Though in the end, it's still the same.
Imagine getting a trophy that fucking insults you. That's funny.
This vote. This is a record-breaking poll with the 250,000 votes, actually beating out regulars such as AT&T and Walmart. The final round pitted EA against Bank of America, winning with 50,575 votes, or 64.03% of the votes. This came in the aftermath of the Mass Effect 3 ending controversy, which several commentators viewed as a significant contribution to EA's win in the poll. Let's actually go to the Mass Effect 3 controversy.
Did Stalin Mass Effect ending?
The ending of Mass Effect
3 I know nothing about Mass Effect. All I know is the third one was really bad,
felt like the
and it released on Wii U.
Meet their expectations. Displeased fans organized an internet campaign called Retake Mass Effect to demand a better ending to the game. part of which included a charity drive for the organization Child's Play. Public outcry over the game's outcome drew conflicting responses from organizations such as the US-based Better Business Bureau and the Federal Trade Commission, as well as the UK-based Advertising Standards Authority, as to whether BioWare had engaged in false advertising and misled consumers under existing law. On April 5th, 2012, BioWare would announce a free DLC pack which would expand upon the ending, calling it the Extended Cut, releasing for most platforms on June 26th.
After my, everybody fucking hated your ending and went, oh shit, we gotta release another one, and then just like, okay, add DLC to the ending.
Surprisingly, however, Mass Effect 3, despite the general controversy, actually received universal acclaim, receiving generally favorable reviews, a 10 out of 10 on OXM UK, and 5 out of 5 stars from G4. Matter of fact, 10 out of 10 by Game
Everybody
Informer.
fucking hated that one. What do you mean? I heard like everybody fucking hated Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
Then again, what he was just talking about were statistics from like reviewers, not the.
Yeah, overall, yeah, that's just from what.
Oh, I know it's released on Wii U, and you can like stream it with the Kinect on Xbox 360. That's like the extent of my Mass Effect knowledge. Is that in the third one's on Wii U, and you can stream it with a Xbox 360 Kinect.
Yeah, so.
Honestly, I say like fan. It's like the fan reviews are a lot more important than like the.
I know a weird amount of Kinect knowledge. Did you know? I'm trying to think this up in Kinect. Did you know like this random like Brave licensed game has Kinect on it, where you have like a shooting range mode? I've an uncanny amount of Kinect knowledge.
Actually, as a matter of fact, other explanations as to why EA was declared the worst company in America actually included the use of Day 1 DLC and the habit of acquiring smaller developers in order to squash the competition, which we'll get to later. A spokesman for EA responded
Day 1 DLC is weird to me, so like if you're doing Day 1 DLC, like it's just like you couldn't have included this game on like this content at launch. The main reason why you'd want to do DLC is like if you'd want to like expand, if you had like more ideas for your original game expand. But if you're doing Day 1 DLC, it's like, so you already had those ideas, so why not just put those on the base game? You're just being more greedy. It's like, hey, fucker, pay more for the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's dumb. Stupid. Dumb. Not good.
Day 1 DLC. Why?
Why? Like, why not just include that in the game itself? What's the point of Day 1
Because
DLC if you're gonna release it the exact day that the base game comes out? I don't get it.
The CEO, right?
There's no one better at finding bugs than determined players.
Money.
Exactly.
How will he pay his bills? How will he feed his family if the CEO of racism cannot get his money from Day 1 DLC and loot boxes?
This basically furthers the idea that most base games are incomplete, and to actually beat them, you actually have to buy the DLC so that you can actually completely 100% the game, which is bullshit. Like, why not just put the Day 1 DLC in the base game, call it a day, and release DLC later?
Because the CEO of racism needs his fucking money. You don't get it.
Yeah,
He needs his money.
You know, I love how like companies like EA and Activision, I think, are basically just made DLC just to a term that we just associate with like microtransactions, like having to pay for it when technically it's just downloadable content.
Yeah. Back to the topic. A spokesman at EA, he actually responded to the poll by saying, "We're sure that bank presidents, oil, tobacco, and weapons companies are all relieved they weren't on the list this year. We're going to continue making award-winning games and services played by more than 300 million people worldwide." That, in my opinion, that is basically a sign that EA, they completely don't care. As
EA doesn't care. They never did. Well, besides
are your award-winning games also gonna win the shit trophy award?
That's the only awards they're winning. That's what they mean by award-winning games.
They're gonna win more. The only awards they're gonna win are more and more Golden Poo trophies. As a matter of fact, they basically did as that mentality from EA led to them winning Consumerist poll for the worst company in America a second time the following year, becoming the first company to ever do so. Games
still
mentioned in the
award-winning,
announcement
technically.
included the controversial Mass Effect 3 for its ending, Dead Space 3 for its use of microtransactions, and the SimCity reboot due to its poorly handled launch.
That's funny.
Let's see, 'cause, like, I don't remember. It was released on May 5th, 2013, and it came in 3 editions: Standard Edition, Limited Edition, and Collector's Edition. Initial release of SimCity in North America suffered severe issues, particularly regarding the game's requirement for a persistent internet connection. The game was made available to purchase through EA's Origin delivery service. After that, the high volume of users attempting to download and connect to the game service caused network outages, reporting frequent problems during gameplay due to the outages, such as long loading times, disconnections, crashing, and the losses of their save game data. Server problems led to some publications refer to the launch as disastrous, comparing the launch unfavorably to that of Diablo 3, which experienced similar problems when that game first came out. It caused Amazon to withdraw the downloadable version of the game from its marketplace, citing customer complaints. That also is part of what led to winning the worst company in America the second time. Poor customer support.
Second time.
nickel
Will they
dining,
win 3 years in a row? Find out today.
Public dismissiveness of criticisms were also given as explanations for the results of the poll. So EA generally does not care about their actual consumers. They care about the money they make. It's actually no wonder they won worst company in America twice in a row.
I mean, all companies are like that. EA is just the most, like,
That's almost blatant.
overt
Blatant.
about it.
When we live in an era marked by massive oil spills, faulty foreclosures by bad banks, the rapid consolidation in the airline and telecom industry, according to consumerists, what does it say about
Mario,
EA's
you're going into
business
the
practices
existential
that so many
crisis. Please
people
don't.
have, for the second year in a row now, come out to hand it the title of worst company in America? When asked about the fall by VentureBeat, the president of EA Labels responded, "We take it seriously and want to see it change. In the last few months, we have started making changes to the business practices that gamers clearly do not like," which would really just be a straight up lie. The decision to make The Sims 4 a single player offline experience, as well as the unveiling of new games to shift in thinking. Yeah, so that was that. So yeah, that was also part of his attribution to the elimination of online passes. But of course, we would get loot boxes, and that would piss EA off more.
You know, I was about to say that they could have been more greedy
That
by
would actually
taking
piss consumers
mobile
off
games,
more. Yeah.
but they already do. I just worried about EA Mobile, basically.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny shit, but also like dumb shit.
Yeah. People might be wondering, will EA ever find itself as the most hated as the worst company in America? This does not look to be the case because as of October 2017, consumers stopped producing new content. So if they did, and if they did decide to continue doing the worst company in America awards, EA would definitely mark the spot, especially, in particularly nowadays, like I think in 2018 when the loot boxes thing really came to light. Let's see. Now let's talk about EA's history of acquiring and closing other studios. This started during the early 2000s when
If I remember correctly, they took my fucking. I don't actually remember because I know like jack shit about EA. Never mind.
Alright, time to look it up.
So yeah, I'm looking it up. So the idea of EA, taking over companies, this actually really came to light in the early 2000s when EA was rapidly growing. During the early 2000s, EA actually developed a reputation of acquiring development studios, primarily for their IP assets rather than the talent of the studios, forcing changes on the studio's work product that impacted the quality or scope of the game, or even.
We're gonna buy the rights to this IP, use it once, and immediately drop it, and then make it
and
bankrupt.
thus dissolving them. This created an appearance that EA was handling games as if it were an assembly line, much like they do with the sports games, only looking to put out as much product as possible without care for the content or the creative staff that were behind the creation of the games. The company gained a derogatory nickname as the evil empire within the video game industry as a result of these business practices. So games such as, FIFA, Madden NFL, they still suffer a lot with the stuff like that.
Yeah.
This I believe this is especially true with FIFA,
Mario.
NBA Live.
Okay, well,
Yeah, we get that.
all right. Well, since we're talking about EA Sports, you have to do it at least once. Hold on, let me find it.
Okay, wait. I think I established connection. What was I saying? Oh yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So in the early 2000s, EA was rapidly growing. They were known for acquiring assets, determining they were no longer necessary, getting rid of them, claiming EA to be an evil empire, and just handling games like an assembly line, like they do with their sports titles. A key example of this was with the handling of Origin Systems, which was known for being the company behind the Ultima series, acquiring Origin in 1992. Under EA, Origin was pushed into quickly finishing Ultima 8 and Ultima 9, despite protests from the studio's founder. As a result, both of the titles were poorly received compared to the previous entries in the Ultima series. Origin had also developed Ultima Online, which had been successful. However, following the development of Ultima 9, they started work on Ultima Online 2, but due to Ultima 9's poor sales, EA canceled that, leaving Origin primarily to support online, until Origin Studios was shuttered in 2004, moving the remaining staff to other divisions with EA. Technically, the Origin is still around as part of EA for delivering games. Other studios affected by this were Bullfrog Productions, Westwood Studios, Maxis, and Pandemic Studios. By 2008, by 2008, EA started
by
altering its
2008.
practices and part of
EA is my favorite year.
I know, right?
New CEO John Riccitello acknowledged in 2008
What was
prior
the fight of
practices
EA happened?
of the company were wrong, and that they now gave acquired studios greater autonomy without meddling in corporate culture. Company's CFO, Blake Jurgensen, acknowledged the prior practice was somewhat marginal in performance in a statement in 2014, and that the company would likely slow down on acquisitions and given the opportunity for their internal studios to produce major titles instead. And sentiment was echoed by those who had worked in EA in past and present. John B. Carmack of id Software you might know for Doom, announcing that EA would publish their upcoming title Rage, said that EA was no longer the evil empire, saying that if you asked me years ago, I still had thoughts that EA was the evil empire, the company that crushes the small studios. I'm surprised if you told me a year ago that we'd end up with EA as a publisher. We went out and talked to people, especially EA partners, people like Valve, and almost got uniformly positive responses from them. The founder of Bullfrog said that EA was not an evil empire in 2014, but acknowledged that when studios are acquired, the added funds changes the flavor of the company and can lead to poor performance from the studio. Despite the fact that their reputation in managing studios, when EA closed Visceral Games in 2017, Engadget considered that a return to EA's bad habit of shuttering well-known studios. EA was actually once criticized for acquiring 19.9% of shares from its competitor Ubisoft, a move that the spokesperson described as a hostile act initially. However, the Ubisoft CEO indicated that a merger with EA was a possibility. The first option being to manage our own company and grow it. The second being to work in movies, and the third is to merge. However, EA in July 2010 elected to sell its reduced 15% share in Ubisoft. equating
EA show
to nearly
Ubisoft, and then
122
the
million
world.
US dollars.
The world. And then
Yep.
loot boxes will become real IRL.
We avoided a terrible, terrible disaster because Ubisoft and EA, as the same company, would end the world.
Now, like, every time you go to the supermarket, now every time you go to the supermarket, you have to, like, farm loot boxes for, like, this specific thing you want. You want that, like, those, like, Lay's potato chips, you have to buy loot boxes until you get what you want. It's like, oh man, I don't want I don't want the Lay's barbecue chips, I want the potato chips, and then went too bad, cray about it, buy another one.
You know, I love how 33 out of the 47 companies that are listed in the EA acquisition article are just defunct, or have the defunct symbol on it.
Yeah, and surprisingly, in 2013, of course, EA won the worst company in America tournament. But this was not done by like just one vote. Apparently, consumers held it as like a tournament split with many rounds, such as like companies like there was first round matches such as Comcast versus T-Mobile, UPS versus FedEx, Time Warner Cable versus Cablevision. It was basically a round of like. The first round was like between different companies of like different companies. Like in the first round, EA would actually win that round by 92% of the votes. That was from the 2013 vote. And
Who did they go against in the first round?
And would last up to what was considered the final death match against Bank of America, winning 22% of the votes. Actually, you know what? Let me run through just the first round matches just to give you an idea of what people really. For the first round, Time Warner Cable defeated Cablevision 79% to 21%. Walmart smashed Best Buy 58% to 42%. DirecTV won against Dish 56 to 44. Sally Mae defeated PayPal.
If I was playing fucking Dark Souls and like a health bar popped up and said Bank of America, I'd be terrified.
Another major candidate for
Fight
the Bank of America now.
Actually, yeah, Facebook was actually one of the a participant for the worst company in America, but they would lose in the second round to, of course, EA. They won in the first round against Google, winning 89% of the votes.
It's pretty unfair when you put a company against EA.
Yep. When I'm in a worst company match and my opponent is EA.
We're not a bad company.
Yep.
When I'm in a treating human beings poorly competition and my opponent is EA.
Yep.
The only company that could.
Let me go to the 2018 article
EA
about
Sports in the
USA
game.
Network's top 20 companies. Matter of fact, here's actually all 20 of USA Today's worst companies back in 2018. Number 20, the Weinstein Company. Number 19, United Airlines. Number 18, Facebook. Number 7, CenturyLink. Number 16, Monsanto. Number 15, Comcast. Number 14, Uber. Number 13, Sears Holdings. Number 12, the Trump Organization. Number 11, Wells Fargo. Number 10, Cigna. Number 9, Spirit Airlines. Number 8, Vice Media. Number 7, Sprint. Number 6, Foxconn. Number 5, EA. So yeah, EA was number 5. Here's part of that part.
Here's a question. If you were playing like a super, so like if you were playing like an incredibly like difficult game and a health bar popped up and it had like a specific company name on the health bar, like what name would you be terrified of? For me, it'd be like
EA.
Fucking.
Probably.
It'd be like fucking like Nickelodeon, just.
Or Disney. Probably Disney.
Yeah, Disney's Unfrozen Corpse.
What if next week we talk about Disney's shitty business practices?
Probably like
Why
the
not?
most terrifying thing. Imagine having to fight Disney.
I have a petition for like next week we talk about Disney's shitty business practices.
Sure, why not?
All right.
On
to EA's number 5 spot by USA Today. The company added to its infamy recently during the early release days of the latest installment of another of its big franchises, Star Wars Battlefront 2. EA released an early access version of the game and immediately drew widespread ire from gamers who discovered that unlocking some of the more popular characters required over 40 hours of gameplay or spending hundreds on in-game purchases. The public outcry surrounding the perceived game led the studio to temporarily suspend in-game purchases.
You can play as Joker Persona 5.
Best part about that Battlefield part
Yeah.
is just that it just led to the most downloaded comment on Reddit. You know.
Surprisingly, there's 4 other companies that managed to defeat EA in 2018. Number 4 was the University of Phoenix, the most well-known profit college in the country. Number 3 was the
University beat it.
Number 3 is the National Football League. Despite remaining the most professional sports league in the U.S., the viewership dipped considerably in 2017 due to part in boycott moves driven by the quote-unquote kneeling controversy. Number 2 is the Fox Entertainment Group, the parent company of Fox News channels, one of the most popular and more so controversial news networks in the United States. Definitely controversial to its, pro-Republican thoughts, I guess. Especially with Tucker Carlson. I think Tucker Carlson is very controversial in the eyes of just about every person with a functioning brain, I guess. And number one for the most hated company in the world in 2018 was Equifax, becoming the target of one of the largest data breaches of all time that the year prior.
Wait, what company?
Equifax.
What data did they breach?
Between mid-May and July 2017,
what
criminal hackers infiltrated Equifax's company servers and accessed personal data, including driver's license numbers, social security numbers, and birthdays of more than 145 million Americans, potentially exposing them to the threat of identity theft. Perhaps even more troubling than the security flaws exposed in the hack itself was the way the company handled it. Despite discovering the breach on July 29th, the company waited a month and a half to make a public announcement. The public was actually further outraged when the company forced consumers to agree not to join a class action lawsuit in order to see if their information was
literally me.
Bruh.
Literally me. Bro, I need to remove my title. They are the professional procrastinator, not me. Literally everybody's fucking account information or shit. And
when half the country's been infiltrated, and yet you just wait a month and a half to expose it.
Literally, almost everybody's identity gets leaked on the internet, and then the company goes later.
I'll do that tomorrow. They just do that for the next night.
They are the professional procrastinator, not me. They are the professional procrastinator.
How do you find out that 145 million Americans were at risk of identity theft and decided to wait a month and a half before you actually made a statement about it? For real.
Clearly they are on Internet Explorer, so they didn't know until 5 months later.
No, they were on Internet Explorer. They sent it out immediately, but Internet Explorer just took them a month and a half.
Yep. So that really all in all, that really sums up how shitty EA is as a company. We're 57 and a half minutes into this video, I guess, if you're not counting the opening, I guess. Let's see. What other small things have EA been criticized for? Aha! April 27th, 2021 by Game... No, that's not... I won't consider that. I'm looking for something.
That's not new.
I'm looking... Actually, I'm looking for something. I'm trying to find something here to really bring up... Aha! IGN on April 26, 2021. Why leaked documents revealing all roads lead to FUT confirm what many FIFA fans already know. It immediately starts with, we do not push people to spend in our games, EA said in a new statement.
What do you mean
FIFA
fans? There aren't any
internal
fans. There were
documents
2 of them.
leaked to the CBC
I
that never
believe there
left
are
appear to suggest
fans.
the opposite. EA's comments are part of a lengthy multi-part statement published on the official site, following a CBC report published earlier in which EA expresses the desire to funnel players towards its heavily monetized FIFA Ultimate Team mode, which is really where a lot of loot boxes came from as part of the initial controversy.
Nobody, there is nobody who is a hardcore fan of FIFA. It's fucking FIFA. I refuse.
EA has
It's fucking
insisted that
They're
FIFA
just
Ultimate
so
Team isn't
into the
gambling since
soccer
at least
games.
2018, even as, Belgium banned them outright. FIFA is one of the world's highest grossing franchises, but headlines are riddled with stories of players spending thousands of dollars. You heard that, thousands, just to get a player. The card collecting mode was actually first introduced in 2009 as a downloadable add-on, subsequently becoming one of EA's most consistent moneymakers and one of the single biggest drivers over FIFA's online culture. Yep. Some slides actually leaked to the CBC confirm what EA is rarely willing to say publicly, that all FIFA modes exist in service of driving engagement with Ultimate Team. While it doesn't necessarily rule out the possibility of future improvements to career mode, which has been largely stagnant over the past generation, it does serve as a potential indicator of where EA's priorities lie. There's EA responding to consumers of very active time in our Ultimate Team community. The development team is pushing out new content and community events. In the world of soccer, the Premier League is about a month away from ending, and the Champions League have reached semifinals. Late that previous week, EA released a Team of the Season promo featuring high-powered versions of the series' best players. The story sensationalized over the course of a lengthy statement, saying that the publisher firmly disagreed that FIFA or any of our games involve gambling. EA also referred to a recent case in which Google was granted a move to dismiss a lawsuit related to loot boxes on the Google Play Store. Sheesh, oh Raman.
Play Store, my favorite place in the world.
I know, right?
Yeah,
My favorite place.
Like, how do you mess
The place where I can find. Yeah.
So yeah,
It's really fun.
and to this day, EA still remains very stagnant. Like they still basically churn out the same game year by year. As a matter of fact, it actually some titles have actually been considerably viewed less favorably, in terms of depending on certain platforms. As a matter of fact, FIFA 15 for next gen got an 8.3 by IGN. A 6.8 for previous gen, I guess. Let's see. FIFA 18 got an 8.1 in general, but a 5.5 for the Switch version, being a watered down game.
Which version? What does that run at 2 frames per second?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it actually gets far worse.
Yeah.
There's a FIFA 20 Legacy Edition, which is basically what they called a subpar version of FIFA for Switch, indistinguishable from last year's subpar version of FIFA for Switch. Calling it the Legacy Edition, it only got a 4 by IGN, which is... Yeah, that is... I'm surprised, EA still continues with, basically copy-pasting everything. And the fact that,
Nobody who uses... No Nintendo Switch owner has ever went, hey, I'm gonna go play FIFA. No Nintendo Switch owner has never done that, I guarantee.
Yeah,
So,
I
right?
haven't met a Nintendo Switch player who's gotten FIFA.
and even despite the whole controversy of loot boxes, FIFA Ultimate Team still remains the largest part of FIFA's culture, and EA is not willing to change. EA doesn't seem like they're willing to change that anytime soon, saying that it's the cornerstone and we're doing everything we can to drive players here in a elite slide. IGN actually sent their own list of questions to EA, but the publisher only responded by directing them to the official statement regarding it. SlashGear.com, the headline right off the bat says that EA doesn't know why they're the bad guy, even despite the fact that there is proof in just about every corner of the video game market. For real.
I buy companies and kill them. I'm not the bad guy. They are.
I make people spend thousands of dollars just to unlock one player. I'm not the bad guy. They are for not buying into my product.
They aren't for buying a product. They aren't for buying my FIFA game.
Yep. Well,
I'm not the bad guy here, you are.
Well,
I'm not scared shitless, I am. You aren't scared shitless, I am.
Yep. All in all, That's Electronic Arts, a shitty company known for its horrific business practices and its continuous will to make the same game over and over again, much to the dismay of actual consumers in the country, despite even though what they're doing is what's leading to success for like other companies that actually associate with it. So we are officially an hour and 4.5 minutes into this episode. So we're gonna say EA, no, horrible.
Wait,
2 out of 10.
We gotta play the funny EA meme real quick before this ends. We can't do that. We have to play the funny EA meme before this ends. It has to be.
What EA meme?
The E.
Oh.
You really have to play that.
All right, then I guess. Okay, why not?
God, this meme. This is 2018. I think 2018 again.
That's quite well. Aha! Oh, this is the one.
Close enough. I like ours better.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rate EA's shitty business practices. Actually, no. I was gonna give it a 2 out of 10, but I'm gonna give it a 0.5. Nope. 0. Should I stick with 2? Should I stick with 2 out of 10?
No, it gets a 0.5 because of the E meme. The E meme saves it from being a 0.
Yeah, the E meme just saves
quite a lot of
EA
mercy.
from getting a flat 0.
The E meme saves it.
When your intro is better than your entire product.
Yep.
All right, we done? We good? We done and dusted with?
EA Sports. It's in the gamer games. And remember, kids, you gotta spend all of your life savings on the PNGs of Anime Woman, or just
Spend
remember
your
that.
Hanta.
And you gotta work around the clock because we need games to be out as soon as possible. Not next month, not next year, as soon as humanly possible.
We needed it out yesterday.
Also, go play fucking Mario and Luigi. Fuck, that's still on.
Join us
Go
next
play-
week. Join us next week when we probably talk about another company's shitty business practices. Any closing thoughts before we actually sign off?
Go play Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story for the Nintendo DS. It's a really good RPG.
EA's a bitch.
I'm not gonna finish this thought.
All right then, commit piracy. That is my advice to you.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this week's episode of MILFCast. It's been fun. We have talked about EA all day today.
Yes, you can commit piracy,
I have been joined.
but don't pirate Metroid Dread. I really want more Metroid games, please. I want to do well, please. Don't pirate Metroid.
Don't new games.
Before I
All the
leave,
old
I
ones.
have one more thing to say to EA. EA, go fuck yourself,
You ruined Plants vs. Zombies, you fucks die.
Plants vs. Zombies does not need to be another generic fucking shooter. The original Plants vs. Zombies,
the
it's
shooters
fine as
are
it
okay.
is.
I'm
Why gotta
talking
fucking
about the
ruin it by
overlay
making another generic old
microtransactions.
shooter game?
You made the Snow Pea cost money. You made the fucking Snow Pea. That's one of the first points you get in the video game, you cunt. Why would you do this?
You fucking cunt.
The original
You
Plants
fucking
vs. Zombies, it was fine as its own. Yeah, here you go. Oh, here's Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare,
Yeah, let's ruin everything, guys. We're EA here. Shut the fuck up.
You're going too far.
There's Battle for Neighborville or whatever. So yeah, that is actually disappointing.
I will play the sex offender shit. Shut the fuck up.
I mean, good. I don't know.
Okay, back to what I was saying. I have been joined today by Arrow7X, PK, the professional
Didn't say a
procrastinator,
single word.
FNAFFAN 2019, and ShadowPika666, as
Even
well
almost
as
dead.
Will, who just left. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us today. Remember to subscribe to the MILFCast channel. I have been your host, TheRedditMario. This has been MILFCast, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.